Hello everyone, this is Marie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for everybody who left a like and a comment last month. I really appreciated it. This month I'm sharing with you this layout that I shared on the Scrap Gals podcast, the Life Stories episode. And it's a layout about all the jobs that I had when I was a teenager up to 24 years old when I went back to university and studied to become a French teacher. I have 11 stories that I wanted to share, so I knew it would be a very dense layout with a lot of words and photos, just like I like them. I don't want to make a ton of layouts for my album, so that was a good option for me to fit them all on a double-sided layout plus a small insert that is 6 by 12 inches. In this video, I'm going to show you my process from start to finish. Let's get started. So let me take you to my ephemera drawer. This is often where I start when I want to make a layout from the past. This is a plastic accordion folder that I've just stuck into one of my drawers in my office, and this is where I have sorted all the ephemeras and tidbits that I collected over the years. You can see in there newspaper clippings, letters, cards, pictures, stickers, restaurant menus, maps, bus schedules. Anything that I collected goes in there. So when I want to make a layout, I just find the folder with the time period that I'm going to scrapbook about, and I take everything out. So for this layout, I found a card from my last boss for my last job and a business card on which he wrote a little note on the back, and also my picture that was on the employee wall. So I decided that I was going to use this for the layout. That story is the longest of all the 11 stories, so it's going to be the whole right page of my layout. Then what I did is go on my computer and find photos that I wanted to use. So I did print some pictures of that last job, and for the other stories I didn't have any pictures, so I went and Googled the banners of the companies I worked for. For some jobs I even found photos of the actual store, so I printed them out. I thought that was very, very nice. It reminded me of so many things. And what I did also is handwrite all the stories that I wanted to tell. I ended up having 4 pages written on both sides. I know that when I'm going to type my journaling, it will be way smaller than 3 full pages. All right, so next I made a plan of how these 11 stories could fit on a 12 by 12 layout. I drew my 2 big squares for my 2 pages, my 2 main pages, and I added 2 smaller rectangles for the insert that would be between the 2 big pages. And then I started drawing on those squares my smaller stories, the space of each story depending on the words and the pictures that I had to tell each story. I really wanted to see how everything could fit before I went to Photoshop and started typing my journaling and adding all my pictures. In Photoshop, I create a canvas of the size of my layout. Here I have the left page and the 2 inserts, and then I have the right page right here. Once I have my canvas, I start typing my journaling and doing blocks with the text and the photos, following my plans that I drew at my table. And once the layout is all done and I'm happy with how it looks, I slide the text blocks and the photos to another document. So the text is going in a separate document because I'm going to print it on pattern paper that is very subtle. And the photos go in another document that will be printed on photo paper. And then I print all this and I go back to my table. Next, I cut all the journaling into blocks and I cut all the photos. If I want to have a border around my photos, I just leave a little white space around the picture. I always decide as I go, nothing premeditated. Sometimes I leave a white border and then I decide to cut it away as I'm working. So that's not a problem. At this point in the process, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the embellishments and the colors of the layout. I did print my journaling on 2 pattern papers that were different. Both were like in beige tones. One had more yellow in it and the other one had more pinkish, brownish in it. And when I was working on my canvas in Photoshop, in order to see the 12 by 12 page and then the 6 by 12 insert, I decided to, I fill in the canvas. And just randomly, I filled the first page in pink, in a light pink, and the other one in yellow, and the other one in green. And I thought that looked so nice that I wanted to recreate that with paper. The green did clash with my photos, so I kind of stuck with a vanilla color for the 3rd page. So the order will be pink, yellow, vanilla, and a white background. And I know that vanilla and white, it's not for everybody, but since my journaling was printed on a pattern paper that had some yellow in it, I feel like it ties both pages together. My next piece of puzzle to solve was how I would put my title on my layout. In Photoshop, I had left a long rectangle for the title, and I had a small subtitle that I finally printed on paper. It looked pretty much like the first long block of journaling. The long block of journaling was literally going from left to right, almost 12 inches wide. So I wasn't sure I liked the title, and then it was going straight into the first block of journaling. So what I did is I used some of the branding strips of paper that I used on previous projects. When I like them, I keep them. Some I don't really like, I let go of, but I had like 3 or 4 strips laying around, and they were magically just fitting pretty well with the pink and the yellow that I had chosen for the background of my layout. So I took them and I decided they would be a nice underline for my title. So in my head, I knew I was going to have them lay under my title. I would probably stitch them. I would layer them with the subtitle, and I would stitch them and give it a little bit of texture by folding the edges a little bit. Once I solved what I was going to do with my title, I went ahead and found some die cuts that were in very happy colors. I wanted to break a little bit all that boring, bland journaling that I had going on. So these die cuts were perfect. I also found some wood veneers and some paper clips that were metal. I found some tags that had metal rims around them. So once I found all my elements that will go on my layout, I just play with them. I will try to limit myself to these and not go look for more, because at some point when you have more, it gets, it's infinite. We all have like almost a scrapbooking store in our house, right? So if you start looking for the perfect thing, you will never stop looking. You will always find something that works. So I decided that I had enough stuff on my table and I just had to start assembling everything. Also, don't forget to look on the other side of the paper, because here, see, I had my beige stripe that I really liked, and then on the other side, there was a nice lime green that I thought was very happy and that worked to make everything stand out. I only put a little bit of adhesive, and I went to my sewing machine and stitched all this together. I've cut all the little threads. That pink rectangle that you see, this is washi tape. It comes in a little booklet. It's about maybe 1.5 inch or 2 inches by 3 inches. And for this layout I used maybe 4 pages of the little booklet. I thought it was super fun to use. You have like the transparency of a washi tape, so that was really fun. And then I built on it with die cuts. So you have the washi tape texture, you have the thickers that are they are striped and glossy. You have the die cuts that are pretty flat, and you have the stitching, so that's a lot of texture all together. I wanted to add the little black hearts to repeat the black that is in my title. I didn't want to be, to have only my title that is black. Now I'm playing with some more strips, branding strips, to continue the horizontal lines on my layout. It doesn't look like it's it's organized, but it's an organized layout for sure. If you look at it, all the colors are tied together in some triangle form. There's the black. There are some pops of pink. I have added the F and the little pink star, and then I used the same thickers for the numbers to number my stories. The numbers are not only for the color pop, but they also organize the layout. Like when you follow the numbers, you know exactly where to go next in a layout that is very, very dense. So without having a clear plan, I just decided to build my layout from the top going down. Line by line, you have the number 1 next to the first little banner, the Jewelers Association. Then you have 2 stories that are tied to my first job experience at the National Bank of Canada. For the picture, I originally thought I would just use the banner of the bank, but then when I went on Google, I found a picture of the front door where I was going into the building downtown Montreal, and that brought back so many memories that I thought, okay, this is the picture I need to use. I backed it up on some fun pattern paper. The photo was pretty gray with just that little hint of red for the flag. So by using a paper with some red in it, it was framing that picture pretty well. Then for the next job, that was my babysitting gig. I was babysitting the neighbors when they were coming back from school, so I would bring them from the bus to their house, and that was quite something. Hence the die cut saying, "Rather forget this." The die cut is black to repeat from the title. And the photo for that job I found on Google Map. It's a street view picture of my house, and we see their house, just a little bit of their house right next to mine. That also brings back so many memories. It's incredible how photos bring back memories. Sometimes we forget some stories, and when we see a photo, everything comes back. So I would suggest that you go through your pictures if you don't know what to talk about on your next layout, and as you find photos of your past, stories will come up for sure. My 2 next jobs were as a clothing salesperson. That was quite the experience as well. If you want to know the whole story in detail, you will have to either subscribe to the Scrap Gals podcast. That's where I read my whole story. Or you could go to my Instagram and maybe look at the still pictures that I will post there. Instagram is where I post my layouts when they are done and when they are published. And my handle is mpcapistran_art. I'll put it in the description down below. Now I'm pretty much done with my left page, and I'm going to start working on that insert. I'm going to speed up my process a little bit. So I'm adding some more pinks and greens to tie in with the left page. Although I have a yellow background, I kind of like all those happy summer colors. This story that I'm working on at the top is my subway experience with my creepy boss, who finally fired me because I didn't want to go with him to his brother's wedding. But then I talk about how that experience came in handy in Vancouver when I was in need of money and I needed a job, and I was just going to stay one more month. So who would hire me for 1 month? Well, Subway did, because they didn't have to train me. So I tried to find the silver lining before I make my layouts. I don't want to just trauma dump. And I did find this label by Amy Tangerine. It says, "Phew, this was," and I decided to write "unpleasant." So I tried to make my layout a little bit funny. Yeah, it adds to the charm. That next job is me as a meat packer in a grocery store. So I'm telling the story of how I wanted, my dream job was to be a cashier, and when I went to give my name, they needed someone in the meat department. I wasn't vegetarian yet, but I already was grossed out by meat, so I guess that's why I got that job. I had to go over my fears. And for the picture, I found once again the photo of the front door of the place I was working at, and I found a guy who was doing exactly my job, wrapping the meats in styrofoam and plastic and adding the stickers with all the codes and names. And so I took a picture of that guy and I cut the head, and I have a wood veneer. I guess it's in a Christmas kit that I had it. It's a deer head. So I thought that was perfect for the job I was documenting. So now I start working on the other side of that insert. I leave the first page there because I want, when you open my album, I want everything to feel cohesive. I just don't want it to look like I added a page at the end. So when I build it with the left page in mind. It will look exactly like this when I turn the page over. So this is why I'm working this way. At the very top, I am documenting the story of me working as a receptionist in a hotel. I do have a full layout about that job, so I just put a small summary of it, and I do reference it in the journaling. I say, if you want to know more, see my layout about the Holiday Inn. And then the whole page on the right and the story at the bottom of that insert, it's all one job. Well, it's one job, and then I got promoted, so I did put 2 numbers, but it's one job experience. There is a lot of red in my in what I'm wearing, and the storefront, the brand. So I'm trying to make that red go with what I already built up on the left. This is why I went for red, the washi tape again, and die cuts, and I tried to make a small, like a nice grading to go from the summer colors to a white background with red accents. There was a lot of back and forth. I even went and got some vellum die cuts that were from the same collections at the paper die cuts I was using. But it was, that part was tough for me. I wanted to balance the green and orange and the summer colors and add some icy blue and red, and that was quite something. So once the insert was done, I started working on the right page, the last page. Again, I kept my left page and my insert in place so that I knew how it would look like when I open my layout and I turn the page. I decided to add some summer colors again on the right page to keep the continuity. On that page, my challenge was to add my pieces of ephemeras. They were supposed to go on the little insert at first, but it didn't quite work out as I was envisioning it. So now I wanted to add the big envelope with the card that I got when I left that company. And I also wanted to include the business card of my boss. He had given me, like, at some point a small, he gave me a note and he wrote it on the back of his business card, and he said, the note was saying, thank you for the stressful day you had. Here's a little gift for you and the cashiers. Just go downstairs and get some perfumes for everybody. So this is the type of things he was doing. He was a very, very intense boss. If you've seen The Office, you know, the series, I cannot watch that because it's too similar to what I experienced at that job. So yeah, he was very intense, and sometimes he would just unexpectedly be nice. I don't know if he felt remorse. I don't think that was in his capacity. But anyways, so I kept that little note all those years, and this is the card that he hand wrote when I left. When I left that job, I was not only leaving the company, but I was also leaving the country. I was at that point living in Switzerland, and I decided that I was going back to Canada to live with my parents. Although I was married, I was 24 years old, and my only option out of that, I wanted to say a bad word, of that peculiar experience, let's call it like this, was to go back home and to study, to get a real diploma and to get a real job for the rest of my life. I didn't want to just skip from small job to small job. And yes, so when I decided to leave, it was not only this company, but it was my whole life, even my husband and all that. I didn't divorce. I just I just knew I was leaving for 4 years to study, and then 4 years is a long time, so it was quite something. So here I'm working around the ephemera. I still want to include all the photos. I need to add my numbers, and I do want to add some die cuts because I want this page to be a real continuity from the rest of the layout. I don't want it to be like suddenly just photos and words and 2 pieces of ephemeras. So this is like a puzzle. I have to fiddle around. That last piece of journaling is my conclusion of the layout. I often do that, like to end on a end note. And once I thought that I cracked the puzzle, I just started like gluing stuff together, and like what I did on the first page, you know, when I'm not sure about how things will go, I just start somewhere, and somehow things fall into places. So I've put the card at the very top. The envelope was not opening, like it was not cut at the very top, so I've glued the envelope closed and I've cut it at the top. That way, even if I have the layout in the pocket, I can reach and take the card out. Same thing with the little business card. I just tuck it down with a paper clip, so I can take it out and I can read on the back his note. And then I started gluing things together. I'm not sure if I stitched on that page. I think I didn't. So that's one thing you want to take care of doing when you are building a layout like this. Just stay consistent. Here I'm fiddling with some vellum. It's like the contour of the tag that I used on the left page. So that vellum I have throughout the layout. I have the first piece, I don't know if you remember, it was like a pink, a very intense pink. And then I have this postcard with some green and orange. That's also a piece of vellum. I have the red tag on the left and the contour of the tag there on the right. With the contour of the tag, what's nice is that the white opening is a very cute opening to add like a little label, to add some more journaling by hand. And this is pretty much how my layout looks like at the end. I add some more informations by hand on very tiny labels. I have that red thread that is attached to all the labels going throughout my layout. And those tiny labels also with red accents. I have some more black accents on that page with the little black heart. And the thumb, you know, the thumb, I wanted to use it as a thumbs down because of all those experiences. And then I thought maybe I will add a little brad and make it flip so it could go up or down. And then finally I decided to make the thumb point at me, as I was chosen to be the boss. Finally, my title, it was supposed to be Like a Boss, and I wanted to talk about all my bosses that I got, but finally I decided, you know, the memories are pretty intense, so I added an F and a little star, like a freaking boss. And this is my layout once it's done. I like that there's a lot of layers and texture with all that red thread going on. I added the title again. I don't know if you saw it on the little red label, Like a Freaking Boss. Here you can see that I can open the card and that I can detach the note. I like that it's written in German. So this is part of my journey as well, that I had to work in German. That was my third language, so that was not easy. And this is my layout, guys, so I hope you like it. I will show you some still pictures. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Again, it's a very busy layout, like I make most often. But I like that there are many details, many stories. I don't have to make 11 pages or 12 pages for all those 12 stories. They are all gathered together. I like the texture and the layers and the colors, and it's kind of unexpected, and yet it does all fit together in the end. If you want to see those pictures in a still form, again, go to my Instagram account, mpcapistran_art. Leave me a comment there, a like, please. And if you enjoyed that video, I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to my channel. I will try to make another video next month when I share another story on the Scrap Gals podcast. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, you can go to their website. A subscription is $5 a month for 4 hours of content. I find it very affordable. It's super entertaining and it keeps us motivated, and it helps us create more pages and document more things and not just think about scrapbooking, but really get to the table and create and get in the zone and be proud of ourselves for the work that we do. All right, thank you so much, guys, and I will see you very soon. Bye.